All right, here we go with Correa. So yes, cardboard people. So definitely our COVID season here. And an amazing swing. It's a good frame rate and everything. So some of the things that are really cool with Correa, I'm just kind of playing this through, one time so we could see it. But one of the interesting things is he's a big guy that doesn't create a lot of separation. So, meaning between his hips, he stays closed a lot, for a long time during his swing. So if you bring him to toe touch, his chest is back, right? His chest is facing behind his back foot. Uh, the knob is facing behind his back foot. His front shoulder is down below his back shoulder. Very, very good. And you can see his belt is actually facing rearward too, behind home plate. And his front foot's closed. His front knee is closed and his front foot is closed. You're going to see a lot of guys that are open in this position and really getting open with their front side. He's not. Even if we bring him to like ball of the front foot, he's just barely starting to open there. And then by the time he gets to heel plant, if I stop him, yes, his belt has definitely turned. But if we put, I mean, it's not a magic number, but if I say, okay, his sternum's kind of, facing there, and his hips perpendicular to his hips, probably there. He's only in the low 30s. Okay, like here's his hip line, so you can see it was pretty perpendicular. I guess it could have been a little bit more, but he's not a 40-degree guy. He doesn't create a ton of separation yet, meaning like a Donaldson or even a Miguel Cabrera creates a lot of separation. He still hit this ball 440 feet. So you have to figure out, or Baez. We looked at Baez recently and Bryant, who create a lot of separation. Know your body, know what you need to do. If you're 5'9" and 150 pounds, you probably need to create a ton of separation. When you're 6'4", 220 and you find barrels, you probably just need to find barrels. So a very good launch position. This would be a swing that I would teach a 10-year-old, a young player. He just kind of checks off all the marks. His hands are at launch here. Okay, in his stride, he has a weight shift. Okay, so he's got kind of a leg kick, but it's not an obscene leg kick, right? He falls forward, from heel plant, his launch position, his hands are in a good spot. Top of his top hand is going to be about at the bottom of his ear, the top of his cheek. That's perfect. His front shoulder's below his back shoulder. His hips are starting to open. Okay. His back knee's starting to come down and in. His back foot hasn't spun or anything like that. It's a very calm position. Then as he starts to rotate and continue through, I'm just going to put this box around his head. Notice how close the bat is to his head. Okay. That's a short path. Notice his head stay in that box. If we bring him to his short approach position, the knob and the elbow are in line. The bat is right next to his shoulder. So remember, some guys are, our barrier is kind of in this position between here and here, those two lines. Some players, Vlad, high average guys, that bat will be a little bit more vertical here. Even Buster Posey in his prime had his bat up a little bit more. Okay. But if you just kind of fit between those two lines I drew, we're good. Notice how far his back knee has come down now. So his back knee has come down a ton. He's brought his front heel in front of his back heel in front of his back toes. That's great. Okay. Again, we'll continue. Look at his head. Pretty great. You bring him to his regular approach, and the barrel's slightly below his hands. Okay, so not bad. Not bad here. The end of his bat is at his back foot, so he's short to the ball. Okay, he doesn't have a long arc to the ball. If we draw a line on this pitch, I don't know what this is coming at him. Let's see what the number. Maybe a hanging something based on how much it's dropping. Let's see. Yeah, dropping 6 degrees. It could be just like maybe a 90 mile an hour fastball from a really tall guy. It could be a cutter or something like that. But, for a pitch that high and at 6 degrees coming down, usually a pitch that high is going to be at like 4 degrees. Somebody throwing hard, somebody throwing 94, 95, 96. So at 6 degrees, they're probably not throwing quite as hard. But look at his barrel, right? Like his barrel kind of gets to that line. It doesn't go underneath it very much deep in the zone. So if you look at his barrel When it hits his back hip, he probably could foul that ball back. Okay. He'd probably foul it off. You can see he's still under slightly there, but not bad. And then once he gets to his front knee, boom, he's on plane for sure. And then most importantly, he stays on plane, right? He stays on plane all the way to about an inch in front of his front toes. So he's got a big contact area. He's a very good high ball hitter. Always has been. His posture's very good. He doesn't lean in. He's not a heavy right shoulder leaning in kind of guy, even on low pitches. He keeps his bat vertical angle probably within -30 or less, which is really great for backspin. But it might be, the reason he doesn't hit a ton of fly balls, I guess we could get back to that now, is, his barrel. Let me draw this line again because it's getting a little fuzzy in here. Let's see if do that. So we'll go back. What did we say? This was 6 degrees. So if I go back to this ball, 6 degrees, his barrel doesn't like come down here. So guys that hit a lot of fly balls, their barrel is going to do that. It's going to be underneath this way. It's going to be underneath most of the way. And then finally it like kind of comes back up like so. And so they're going to be under a lot. They're going to fly out to right. Okay. He's not going to do that very much. And he's not going to do it a lot because he typically hits balls, closer to his front foot. And when he hits it closer to his front shin or his front foot, he's on plane. Like he's not under the plane right there. And so he's going to launch balls maybe a little lower than other people. But again, like this is a swing you copy. If you look at the weight after he gets to extension, look how he extends that top hand through his right hand, full extension. This is a perfect power V position with his arms, but notice how he's digging into the ground with his front heel. Okay, that's a really good sign. He's pushing back through his front heel. If you ever see players on their toes here and their heel comes up, it means they're fighting forward, right? They're fighting their body wanting to go forward, especially on a fastball. If they're fooled, I get it. But you want to see that weight in the heel. You want to see him pushing back through his glute and his hamstring. And he creates nice tilt here in his power V. You can see everything lines up. He's got a lot of parallel lines, right? Like his spine and his thigh line up. He's not curved. There's not a lot of leaning going on. And again, most of that is due to, his head remaining really, really still throughout the swing. And obviously his balance is really good. So yeah, kind of a good guy to copy. And again, this swing holds up. He could cover pitches up. He could drop his hands a little bit to get to pitches down. He gets wide enough with his long legs. But like you said earlier, he really, for a big guy, like he doesn't have very many moving parts. Maybe his stride is it, but once he plants, it's like his tight, look how close the back gets to his shoulder when he goes to rotate there. Like he's just doing a great job pulling his hands out in front as he's rotating. He's on plane. He's smooth, good extension. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the swing, for sure. Like I think that's a very quality swing that I teach, and I try to get all my players to have very similar moves as Carlos Correa.